So let's focus on 2021, some of our accomplishments. Ladder 7, purchased in the tail end of 2020, placed into service in 2021. Ladder 7 provides aerial support to the southwest sector of our city. And if y'all familiar, we had an apartment fire, and this engine was the first one on scene, so very effective. So we implemented a new health and fitness initiative. We purchased about 10 Concept 2 rowers, and if y'all have ever seen those, it is a very cardio-based, and it's a total body workout. And we purchased this equipment, established a mandatory training program, and then we created the annual PT test, kind of modeled after the DPS system. It's a percentage based on your age, your body weight, your height, and our target goal, we set a baseline for all of our employees. We tested the entire department, set a baseline, and now our new target goal is 70% of VO2 max, and there's a whole bunch of science into that, but 70% means that you are in very good shape based on your age and your body composition and whether you are fit for duty, basically. So I'm not going to tell you my score. So TIFMAS capabilities, TIFMAS, Texas Intrastate Firefighter Mutual Aid System. So there's two parts why this is a great program to be part of. First, it's being a great neighbor. Whenever there's any departments across the state of Texas that need resources for a catastrophic event or a wildfire, they submit a request form through the TIFMAS program. They reach out to other departments that can lend resources. We respond, and our city, our employees and our city will get compensated for that accordingly based on what is sent out. We increased our capabilities. Last year we had about 2 engine bosses, and that's equivalent to like an officer on an engine. They command they command 2 to 3 personnel, and then we had about 20 participants that met the requirements for TIFMAS. We've increased that to a strike team leader, 1 strike team leader trainee who is almost completed. He will take a group of 5 resources with 5 engine bosses and 5 total crews, and they'll run an entire sector of a fire. We've increased our 2 engine bosses up to 6 engine bosses and 40 deployable team members. And the last 3 months of this year, we've been very active in the TIFMAS program. We had units up in Wichita Falls, where our strike team leader went to Wichita Falls and ran an entire division up there. We had, when they finished in Wichita Falls, they moved down to the Abilene fire. I'm sure all of y'all saw all over the news. We had units there on the ground making an impact in our state. We sent units down to the Sonora area, it's a WPU program, Wildland Paramedic Unit. They were down there to provide support for other TIFMAS units that were there, but they provided the medical side of it. And a brand new program called the RIM team, Rapid Extrication Module. These are going to be required on every Type 1 fire event in the state of Texas, and there are only 2 RIM teams in the state of Texas, and we are one of them. So any Type 1 incident, we're going to get called on that.
What's a Type 1 incident?
So like Abilene was a Type 1 incident, and it's a big incident that they're bringing in federal units for. So deployments, we had 1 deployment in California and 6 across the state of Texas as of when I created this PowerPoint. Now we've got about 9 deployments across the state of Texas right now. I'm looking very forward to what TIFMAS develops into in the future. One of the benefits is whatever unit that we send, we get paid for that daily. Actually, we get paid for that hourly. In a very short period of time, not only do you recapture the cost of that unit, you're also putting money in the bank to purchase another unit. And, I think it's really important that this time of year when we're sitting around talking about budget, that we're not sitting around with our hand out. Like, I need more to run my organization. I need more to run my department, that we start exploring different avenues where our department can generate our own revenue now to supplement our budget. And this TIFMAS program is absolutely one of those resources and one of those programs to help us supplement and move into the future and get state-of-the-art equipment that maybe wouldn't be available without this program. So our training academy. They've done some pretty neat stuff over there this year. They've hosted 2 regional area schools for our local volunteer community, and I find this to be very, very important. We have 16 volunteer organizations that surround the city of San Angelo, and I don't believe a firefighter, their worth is based on whether they receive a paycheck or not. So I am very motivated to reach out to our volunteer community, find out what needs they have, help facilitate those needs. We have a $4 million training academy. I would love for our volunteer community to come in, share that facility with us. We can all learn from each other and move into the future and maybe host statewide training at our new facility. We hosted 2 National Fire Academy courses, and the National Fire Academy is up in Emmitsburg. We can send firefighters up there for training, or we can bring an instructor down here and train the entire region at a localized area, and it doesn't cost our city a dime to bring this training here, and then our local personnel get the national training. So we hosted 2 of those courses, and I went to one of them. It was actually fascinating. So we started negotiations with TEEX. I don't know if y'all know what that is, Texas Engineering Extension. They are affiliated with Texas A&M. We've started negotiations with their command staff to potentially form an agreement for their annual fire school. So Texas A&M is landlocked. They cannot accept any more students for their annual school. What Chief Dunn had kind of set in a vision out for years ago is a partnership with TEEX. There are overflow students coming to San Angelo and living here for 3 months, food on a plate and head in a bed, and these cadets running through our fire academy, and they would pay us for that. Again, here's another revenue source. So it's very important to me to move forward with this TEEX agreement because it's a revenue generating format for us. And then, of course, the picture in the background, I couldn't help myself. I had to put that in there. So that is a metal car that we set on fire, and it's got a propane system underneath it, and that is one of the requirements. TEEX has certain check boxes that they have to meet, and one of the areas that we didn't have was one of these car fire trainers. And the picture up above is a propane tank trainer. TEEX is very specific with the curriculum that we have to meet, so that car trainer was instrumental in moving us forward for that.
Looks very realistic.
Well, it actually, so yeah. What's really neat, and I don't want to brag too much, but that car trainer is $50,000. We did not pay $50,000 for it because I have an incredibly talented member of our department that is a welder, and the plan came to me a couple of years ago, and I said, we need a car trainer. We got to have one. When I was over the training academy, the battalion chief over there, we need a car trainer. Started pricing it. The burner system, the propane pilot system, is $25,000, and that I don't want the liability of building that, because if something goes wrong and it points back that there was a problem with that propane prop, I didn't want the city or myself to have that liability to build that. Now the metal car is just bent and welded metal, but let's go back. You see the wheels?
They're outstanding.
See that? That is so cool. One of our firefighters, he cut those fire axes out of there. All these doors actually function. The hood is counterweighted, so when you do lift it, it's not the full plate steel that you're lifting up. You can't see the front of it, but the headlights used to be one of the tactics that you bust out the headlight to access an engine compartment fire. But like I said, one of our guys built this for $7,000 instead of $25,000. So anyways, had to brag a little bit. So engine replacement, we actually secured the funding for 2 new engines in 2021. Engine 5 actually was at the very beginning of this year. So Engine 5 and Engine 3 are set to be replaced. They are due to begin production in April of 23 with completion of June of 23. It takes a really long time to build a fire truck. So our focus moving into the future is finalize this partnership with TEEX. I told you why I'm so passionate about that. It's a huge revenue source for our city and for our department. I want to start with the basic fire academy and then see where that goes from there. Would like to have a discussion on securing funding for to complete our firefighter bunker gear project. So the NFPA, National Fire Protection Agency, has set out a standard that every firefighter should have 2 sets of bunker gear. Currently, we have about 50% of our department that has 2 sets. The NFPA has not made this a mandate, and the Texas Fire Commission has not adopted it. So at this point, it is still a you should rather than you shall. So we at Chief Dunn saw the writing on the wall. This is going to turn into an unfunded mandate, and we need to get ahead of it before we have to buy 180 sets of gear right now. So like I said, we have got about 50% of the department in 2 sets. In order to complete the project, we would need about 90 sets at about $3,000 a set, so about $270,000. A fire truck replacement program. Currently, we receive about $250,000 a year for capital allocation. We cash flow our fire trucks, and when that was originally established, a fire truck cost about $250,000 to $300,000. Now they're about $750,000 to $800,000. So at the minimum, it's taking 3 to 3.5 years, 3 to 4 years to get enough funding to purchase 1 fire truck. And there's 10 fire trucks. That's a 30-year replacement. And back to the NFPA, they recommended 10-year replacement on an engine and a 15-year replacement on a ladder truck. Because of our maintenance program and our lower call volume, we were able to push that a little bit and push the engine replacement to a 15 and the ladder replacement to a 20. But with the current allocation, it was just making it very difficult to stay on track with this replacement program. So Costa DC talked to y'all about Interstate 14, 27, the railroad. Lots of activity coming to San Angelo, which is going to mean population boost and trying to get ahead of the issue because it takes a while to build a fire station. I kind of forecast in the next 10 years, we're going to need 2 more fire stations, minimum 2 more fire stations. So now is the time to start looking for land and potentially trying to find funding resources to purchase this land. And they're not making any more of it, and the price keeps going up. So, and then expansion at the training center, this TEACS program, we need another classroom. Right now it's pretty jam-packed out there as far as classroom sizes and facility sizes. We would like to have about a 7,000 square foot training classroom only. And then of course the ARF trainer, the aircraft trainer, that is a long-term goal. If we can get an aircraft trainer at that facility, DFW charges $5,000 per student just to go through their trainer. Now this aircraft trainer comes with a pretty hefty price tag. But Shane talked about grants. There are a lot of grants out there. And unfortunately, no, it's not unfortunate. It's actually a good thing. But a lot of the volunteer community gets most of those grants. Of course, they don't have a steady income stream. In the last 1.5 to 2 years, Chief Fisher and myself have applied for 4 grants, and we've not gotten a single one of them. But we're not going to stop trying because the money's out there. We're just going to keep asking. And this aircraft trainer, the only way we're going to be successful and actually turn a profit is if it's funded through a grant. So we're continuously looking for an aircraft trainer grant so we can move forward with that program as well. You have any questions for me?
No, I think your focus for 2023 is probably far more aggressive than there's available funds, so I think you need to get some priorities established.
Yes, ma'am. I do have some priorities established on that, of the things that absolutely need to happen, some things that should happen, and things that would be nice to happen. So,
questions for Chief Brody? Thank you very much, and thank you for waiting around all day long as well. We hope you enjoyed learning more about your city today.
Yes, ma'am.